This next teaching is called Casting Cares. And she asks, if you love Jesus, why would you want to burden him with all our cares and concerns and sins? You know? And you have to understand that this question is from religiosity. Okay? That's where this question comes out of. It doesn't come out of love for Jesus. It comes out of religiosity. And I gotta admit, Angie asks some very good questions when she leaves them on the church phone line. To begin to answer Angie's question, we first have to look at 1 Peter 5, verses 6 and 7. It says, humble yourself, therefore, so that, while under the mighty hand of God, he may exalt you at the proper time. We are being commanded to humble ourselves so that we obey Yeshua or Jesus and not attempt to find solutions in our own strength, our own knowledge, our own wisdom. And it's amazing how many people become wise in their own eyes to the point where they don't need God in their life, according to them. But they're not humble. They did not humble themselves before God. Our victory is assured by faith and obedience. Therefore, not turning over our cares, our problems, our needs and desires becomes pride, and it's a defiant disobedience. Okay? It's not a casual disobedience of not knowing, because you're commanded to turn them over. In verse 7, it is casting all your cares, anxieties, fears, losses, failures, and such upon him, because he compassionately loves you. Wow. So if you don't turn it over, you don't love him. It's not the way the religious community thinks that you don't love him if you turn things over. He's saying you don't love me if you don't turn them over. Big difference. How the religiosity of the age can alter the word. When we do not choose to cast our cares upon Yeshua, we mock his sacrifice and his compassionate love. You get that? If you're not willing to turn over the things that are bothering you, you are mocking his sacrifice for you and his compassionate love. We are claiming that we prefer our pain, our fears, our losses, etc., from Satan's wrath, rather than the glory, the peace, the prosperity from our loving Father. That's a pretty bad choice, as far as I'm concerned. Remember, Jesus did say, if you love me, you will obey me. Well, that's a command he gave then. Casting your cares is a direct commandment from Jesus or Yeshua. He wants them. He paid for them. And you are stealing what he has paid for. However, most people do not know how or when to cast their cares upon him. Problems that arise in the day are turned over at the end of the day. If they aren't, then they are built up so that they need to be turned over in the last 3 hours of preparation before the start of the Sabbath. So in that last 3 hours of sunlight before the Sabbath comes is your time of preparation for the Sabbath, where you turn these things over. However, some problems have existed for a very long time and have so many webs and layers and stuff like that. It takes a long time to deal with them. And they need to be turned over out on a new moon. And often several new moons are needed before they actually get turned over. The longer a case exists, or a care case exists, the more complicated and powerful it becomes. It's in control of you, and has become the God that you're worshiping, not Yeshua. The longer you hold on to a care, the more you turn it into a God. Therefore, it's the longer it may take to get rid of it, to get free from it. You may have to go and turn it over for a year or two, if on every new moon, because it's created. It's so deeply embedded in who and what you've been doing, and because you've been worshiping that care, or that sin, or that loss, or that person that you haven't forgiven for so long, then it's going to take a long time to dig the roots out before it'll die. You got to go through many layers of it to finally get to the core and get rid of it. So Angie, we thank you and bless you for such a good question and timely question. In Yeshua's name,